good afternoon. Përshëndetje të gjithëve. As we have agreed, the language will be in English, so let us continue. Dear Minister of Finance, Mr. Ekonomia, dear Mr. Tobias Adrian, the Financial Counselor and the Director of Monetary and Capital Markets of the IMF, dear members of the Board of the Central Bank of the Republic of Kosovo, dear Governor Trajko Slaveski, the Governor of North Macedonia, dear Vice Governor Gorana Kalezic from Montenegro Central Bank, dear Deputy Director Valentina Semi from Bank of Albania, esteemed representatives from the IMF headquarters, Mr. Horton, Mr. Yashar, and Mr. Sosa, heads of public and academic institutions, excellencies, ambassadors, representatives of international partners, dear CEOs and representatives of banks and other financial institutions, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to Pristina and to the Regional Conference on Crypto Assets and Digital Money, held under the theme Policy and Regulatory Frameworks in Changing Landscape. Allow me first to begin with few acknowledgements. We are especially honored by the presence of Mr. Tobias Adrian, who has been at forefront of global thinking on financial stability, digital finance, macroprudential policy, and financial sector regulation. His contribution to the international debate has helped frame crypto assets and digital money, not merely as technological developments, but as issues that goes to the heart of financial stability, monetary credibility, and public policies. I would like to extend a special welcome to my fellow colleagues of the central banks across our region and thank them for their excellent cooperation and participation of today's conference. I would like to warmly welcome Mr. Mark Horton, Deputy Director of the IMF European Department, whose expertise on European economies and regional financial developments will be invaluable in guiding today's policy exchange and linking global perspectives with realities of our region. At the outset, let me express our sincere appreciation to the IMF Monetary and Capital Market Department and Mr. Tobias for its long-standing and highly valued cooperation with the Central Bank of the Republic of Kosovo. For Kosovo, the IMF has been an important partner in strengthening financial stability frameworks, supervisory capacity, macroprudential policy, crisis preparedness, governance, and institutional resilience. This cooperation has supported not only technical improvements, but also the broader strategic development in central banking framework. I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the IMF leadership and present today Executive Director Yit Yashar, representative of the regional office Sebastian Souza, and to wider IMF team present today. Now let me turn to the substance of our conference. This conference is both timely and necessary. We are meeting at the moment when the financial system is being reshaped by rapid technological change. Crypto assets, stable coins, tokenized assets, decentralized finance, instant payments, digital wallets, artificial intelligence, and the future role of central bank digital currencies are no longer distant or theoretical concepts. They are increasingly part of the policy agenda for central banks, supervisors, regulators, ministries of finances, international institutions, and the financial industry itself. These developments offer important opportunities. Digital innovation can make financial services faster, cheaper, more transparent, and more accessible. It can support financial inclusion, reduce the cost of remittances and cross-border payments, improve competition, and contribute to more efficient financial markets. For the Western Balkans, these opportunities are particularly relevant. Our economies are small, open, and closely connected with the European Union and with each other. We have strong cross-border financial links, significant remittances flow, and shared objective to deeper European integration. In this context, digital finance can support regional connectivity, payment efficiency, lower transaction costs, and modernization of financial services. For Kosovo, these issues have an additional relevance. As an Euroized economy, trust in money, safe payments, financial integrity, and alignment with European standards are central to our functioning of our economy and the confidence of our citizens and businesses. Our work towards SEPA integration, the development of instant payments, and the broader modernization of financial infrastructure are therefore part of wider strategic effort to connect Kosovo more closely with European financial area and to deliver faster, safer, and more affordable service to the public. But these opportunities also come with significant risks. Crypto assets and digital forms of money can create vulnerabilities when they develop outside sound regulatory and supervisory frameworks. They might expose consumers to volatility, fraud, misinformation, cyber incidents, and weak governance. They can also create risk for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing, undermine market integrity where transparency and accountability are insufficient, and raise broader questions related to monetary sovereignty, financial stability, and effectiveness of policy transmissions. These risks are especially relevant for smaller and highly integrated economies. In our region, financial systems remain largely bank-centered, markets are still developing, and institutional capacities are being strengthened, but they are not unlimited. Digital activities can easily cross border, while regulatory mandates often remain national. This creates a clear challenge. Risks can evolve more faster than regulation, faster than supervision, and faster than institutional coordination. This is why today's theme, policy and regulatory frameworks in changing landscape, is so important. In my view, all policy and regulatory frameworks require adherence to several important principles. Regulation should be risk-based, technology neutral, proportionate but credible. Consumers and investor protection should remain central. Financial integrity should be non-negotiable. And finally, regional and international cooperation is indispensable. For Kosovo, this agenda is closely connected to our broader institutional priorities. The Central Bank of the Republic of Kosovo is advancing reforms aimed at strengthening financial stability, modernizing payments, enhancing risk-based supervision, improving consumer protection, strengthening AML-CFT coordination, increasing cyber resilience, and aligning our regulatory framework with European Union standards. At the same time, we must be clear, innovation must be anchored in trust. Trust is foundation of money, banking, payments, and financial stability. Technology can change the form of money. It can change the speed of transaction. It can change the way financial services are delivered. But it does not change the need for confidence, accountability, sound governance, and international institutions' credibility. As central bankers, our responsibility is to ensure that innovation develops in a safe, transparent, and sustainable manner. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, let me once again thank Mr. Tobias Adrian and the entire IMF team, the Minister of Finance, our distinguished heads of central banks and representatives, financial sector participants, experts, partners, for joining us in this important regional dialogue. I wish you a productive discussion, insightful exchanges, and successful conference. May this gathering help advance a common understanding of how to foster innovation and cooperation while we preserve trust, integrity, and stability in our financial systems. Thank you.
Well, dear Governor of the Central Bank of Kosovo, Mr. Ahmet Ismaili, dear Mr. Tobias Adrian, MCM Director at the IMF, dear Governor of Central Bank of North Macedonia, Mr. Trajko Slaveski, dear High Representatives of Central Banks, dear Excellencies, dear distinguished participants, it is a great pleasure to welcome all of you to this conference on cryptocurrencies and digital money. We are honored to have such distinguished group of professionals, researchers, policymakers, and innovators gathered here today. Over the past decade, we have witnessed a remarkable transformation in the way people think about money, value, financial systems, and digital interaction. What began as an emerging technological concept more than 15 years ago has now evolved into a global movement that is reshaping finance and commerce. Cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology, digital currencies, tokenized assets, and decentralized finance are no longer abstract topics for early adopters only, but they have become mainstream. And as such, we as policymakers and regulators have the responsibility to ensure that these new technologies provide a better alternative while at the same time limiting and preventing risks. Customers can benefit from faster, easier, and cheaper transactions, but on the other hand, we also need to make sure that we have the proper policies in place to prevent money laundering and illicit financing. We need to ensure that the systems we build are transparent and can be trusted, but at the same time also protect the privacy of customers that use them. It's not always easy to find the right balance between these competing goals, But that's why I think we are here today, to discuss, share ideas and experiences, and hopefully put in place a cornerstone for our regional cooperation in this topic. We as a country, as a government, have plans to develop our own digital currency as well. So please don't hold back on sharing your knowledge, because we want to ensure that we get the best out of this conference. We, once again, thank you for the participation, and I wish you a very fruitful conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for hosting me here in Kosovo. I do have to say that this view of Pristina is very impressive, and I was worried I wouldn't get to see enough about the country, and clearly I have a good vantage point already. Governor Ahmed Ismail, Finance Minister Hekuran Murati, thank you so much for having us, and thank you also for the representatives from the neighboring countries and the governor in particular from North Macedonia to visit on this occasion. I'm really looking forward to having a dialogue with you here. So I'm going to go through my thinking around tokenized finance and money, which is really representative of what I'm doing with my staff in the Monetary and Capital Markets Department of the International Monetary Fund, which is not necessarily reflective of the views of management or the executive board, but I think it reflects a lot of our thinking. We have been working very closely with the ministry as well as the central bank over many years, and the International Monetary Fund really is there to work with the membership, with the countries, to build institutional capacity and strengthen central banking, ministries, and regulatory approaches. And so digital money and tokenized finance, which I'm going to talk about today, is very central to think about, so like the future of the financial system. Now there are two other ingredients. So one thing is institutions are extremely important. The other two ingredients that are key is, of course, the leadership of the institutions, and we have two fantastic leaders among us, and many in the audience, I understand, are leaders in not just in the public sector, but also in the private sector. And I think leadership is so important, resilient institutions are so important. And the third ingredient is economics. And so my lecture is very much going to focus on the economics of what we call tokenized finance and money. So it's going to be, fairly deep in terms of economics. So if things are sort of like unclear, please raise your hand and ask a question if it's going too fast or so. So basically, what is tokenization, right? So we all talk about digitalization of finance. So what does it really mean concretely? And so here's how I think about tokenization. It really has three ingredients. So number one is, in tokenized finance, you can have programmable financial contracts, right? So, classic financial contracts are things like stocks and bonds or bank accounts. And what tokenization is making possible is to embed contracts in the infrastructure itself and make them be executed automatically. So this can be extremely powerful, but also very risky if it's not done well. A lot of my talk is going to be about how tokenization works, but also about the policy perspective on it.